it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Friday, March 10th. So today we do have the moon moving out of Libran energy, moving into Scorpio energy. Now this is not a favorable moon transit for most people because of course the Scorpio energy is very intense. It's very deep, very dark, very passionate. We become the detectives of the zodiac. We have to kind of go within ourselves, do a deep dive within our psyche, start unearthing some of the hidden details that, of course, are in our unconscious programming. We have to illuminate them in our awareness, show them the light, really examine them in order to have a very deep transformation. First in our psyche, second in our emotions. So we are getting the better part of the waking day with the moon still in Libran energy. So we are going to explore where it is that we need to kind of find balance and peace and harmony within our lives, especially within our emotions. And then we will see the moon go void, of course, at 6:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time before locking into Scorpio energy at 7:07 p.m. So there are 11 different aspects here today. 8 of them involve the moon. The moon is going to sit across from Venus, who of course rules over this Libran energy. Venus, of course, is in Aries energy. They sit across from each other in the zodiac wheel. Venus being in Aries energy, of course, she is starting her brand new chapter. Any planet that moves into Aries energy, it's a rebirth. It's an awakening, if you will, a resurrection, a renewal. And Venus, over the last couple of weeks, has been definitely getting down to the nitty-gritty on what needs to stay, what needs to go, who and what makes her happy, what brings her joy, what brings her pleasure, where is safety, security, stability needed in her lives, and really focusing in on cutting the cord with the past and really focusing in on what she needs to bring to life in order to create happiness and joy and safety, stability, and security in her day-to-day. Emotionally speaking, the moon sitting across from, opposing Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, and pleasure, money, this isn't going to feel so good because we get the dynamic of the Libran energy, which is typically people-pleasing. We have a tendency to put our own wants, needs, and desires on the back burner in order to make other people happy. And Venus, of course, in Aries energy, she realized that this particular, putting everybody else first, these days are over. Okay, she's starting to realize that everything starts with her. If she wants to see the change in the world, the change has to start with her. And how do we do that? We create happiness and joy and safety and security in our own lives. But emotionally speaking, there's going to be this desire to pull away from doing what is best for us, again, to do what we think other people want or need us to do. The moon will then trine Mars, the god of war, ruling over physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desire. He, of course, is still in Gemini energy. We're kind of wrapping this particular life lesson up. He will be moving into Cancer energy at the end of March. Listen to the March energy forecast for the rundown on what that is going to mean for us. But the moon in Libran energy, in air energy, Mars in Gemini energy, in air energy, is what gives us this trine. They work very well together. And so although there is a huge illumination of the indecision that we got going on within us, do we stay? Do we go? Do we cut the cord? Do we, are we holding on? Do we continue to pour more into things that, we really should be releasing? We don't know what we're doing. This is like a cha-cha-cha. There's one step forward, 2 steps back, but we're not really taking action out in the world. This is kind of like an inner emotional, thought process and emotional fine-tuning process. But what we know to be true is that Mars is here to kind of say, you know what? Stop creating problems where there shouldn't be problems. Mars wants us to take action. He wants us to be inspired and motivated. He wants us to align with one choice, one decision, one path, one direction over the other. And he's really pushing us to kind of decide. Now, is it going to work? Probably not, but we are going to gain a little bit more clarity, if you will, on the path, the choice, the direction, the path that we are kind of debating between, but starting to get excited about because things are becoming a little bit more clear, mostly through the process of elimination. The choices, the path, the decision, the directions that we've been kind of debating between. One side is kind of illuminating where we're not in alignment, where we're not passionate, where we're not excited, where there does seem to be challenges and obstacles, which of course clears the way for the other option to be the option that we should pursue. The sun in Pisces energy will go ahead semi-square, which is a little bit of a tension point, with the true note, the soul's destiny point, where we got to be in order to get on the right path to reach our new mission, our purpose, our goals. Well, the sun in Pisces, as you know, very dreamy, very imaginative, very fantasy-like, also very focused on healing, very focused on the transformation that is needed emotionally and spiritually in order for us to actually start fresh. This is a semi-square, so we're not feeling so hot. We're not feeling so good. And the reason being is because all of the life choices, the options that we have right now, they are requiring us to be very serious. And we don't like to deal with reality in Pisces energy. We want to live in la la land. And so there are some particular aspects that we should be very down to earth, very focused on, very serious about, very concentrated on. We're about to enter into a brand new astrological calendar, brand new year, brand new chapter of our life lessons in our reality. And it can be all very, very overwhelming. So this particular aspect is kind of illuminating where it is, not that we're going, but where it is that we're trying to run away from. We have this avoidance, this escapism element in Pisces energy. And although we want to move forward, it just feels like we get into thinking about what that would mean for us. And then we check out. We don't want to deal with life. We don't want to think about this right now. We just want to, live in a fantasy land and hope that, some of the decisions kind of decide for themselves so that we don't have to be pressurized to make those bigger decisions that we're looking to run away from. The moon in Libra will be bumping into Neptune, who of course is in its place of power in Pisces energy. Now, this could be a beautiful aspect because we get the imagination, we get the fantasy, we get the creative element, we get the dreaminess, we get the intuitive insight, we get, our higher selves really on the same page from this Neptune and Pisces energy. We get the lower level intellect really kind of, putting it through the filter of logic and practicality and strategy and planning from the Libran energy that the moon is in. And this could be a beautiful kind of aspect for us to realize where it is that some of the visions and the dreams and the goals that we're having, that we're trying to get really excited about, where it is that we can feel good enough to start, processing that in our mental plane and planning around that and actually bringing that to life. However, it could go the other way. The moon in Libra is hella indecisive, like literally does not want to make a choice for the life of them, right? And so what we could get here is kind of swept away with the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, with the ifs, ands, and buts. And we could feel very inspired, but then we start talking fears into our plans. We could feel very creative, but then of course, we start picking that apart. And it could just be an overwhelming time where we just, again, want to check out from reality. The beautiful thing is that the moon in Libra goes ahead, bumps into the sun in Pisces in the most beautiful way. And this is an element of where it is that we've been trying to run away, what it is that we've been trying to run away from, and what it is that we have a desire to run to. And the sun and the moon kind of like overlap. And what we get is this present moment where we see what we're resisting. We see what we're excited about. We see what we're inspired about. We see what we're motivated about. We also see where the hell it is that we're scared to death to actually pursue this path of happiness. Where it is that our fears, our doubts, our insecurities, our indecision is really, really holding us back from making this leap forward. And this overlap leaves us in the present moment for us to see what needs to stay, what needs to go, where we have to get out of our own way in order to pursue the path moving forward, and where it is that this indecision is really putting a lot of pressure on us. What we are doing with this particular interaction is that we're balancing the scales, which is what the whole purpose of Libran energy is to really explore the extremes and find our way back to a middle ground. Now, Mercury and Jupiter come together in a little bit of an interaction that's really going to amplify the confusion, the uncertainty, the indecision. So we have Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, details, expression, in Pisces energy, which is very imaginative, very dreamy, very creative. We like to see the big picture in Pisces energy. We're not so concerned with the smaller details, but not realizing that the smaller details are needed right now in order to make up this bigger, greater, grander picture. We have Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, blessings, wisdom, in Aries energy, really just pushing us to think big, to take big actions, make big moves, create big opportunities, to magnify, turn the volume all the way up on where it is that we want to go from here, what it is that we want to build from here. So having Mercury and Jupiter come together, just know that there's going to be a lot of pressure in the mental plane, that the indecisiveness, the uncertainty, the lack of direction, the lack of purpose, the lack of validation going to become very, very big. And the ideas that we're having, the emotions that we're having are huge. So this is going to illuminate our inability at this moment to decide, to choose, to align, to settle on whatever it is that we need to come to some kind of agreement and decision on. And yes, we're thinking positively. Yeah, we're trying to see the silver linings. We're trying to stay confident. And yes, the positive thinking could lead us into some very important and profound ideas. However, everything's just going to feel overly dramatic, overly exaggerated. Again, a lot of pressure, a lot of impulse, a lot of nervousness, a lot of anxiety, a lot of urgency to just kind of pull the trigger on something so we don't have to continue to think about what it is that we should do. Now, this is going to not feel so good because it's very overwhelming. Now, the moon goes ahead and interacts with Mercury shortly after our heart space and our head space in a way that would suggest that we're not on the same page yet. And as you know, we need our heart and our head to be in agreement, in alignment with one another before we can engage the physical body to go ahead and take action and make some moves. So we're not really jiving so well. The uncertainty, the indecision, the doubts, the fears, they're all coming at us pretty hot and heavy. And what's interesting is that at 6:37 p.m., which is the last aspect that the moon in Libra will make before going void, of course, and transiting into the Scorpio energy, the moon squares with Pluto. Pluto rules over Scorpio energy. So we're getting into the boxing ring. We're fighting something out. Now, what are we fighting out? Well, we're fighting out the depth of our psyche. We're moving inward to see why it is that we cannot make this decision, why we do not feel safe, why we're not balanced, why we just can't seem to find a grounding point to align our heart and our head and to pull the trigger and make a decision. Now, Pluto, yes, the great transformer himself, likes to illuminate for us the pain, the suffering, the trauma of our experiences. Why? Because those are indicators on where it is that we gave our power away. Libran energy, a huge life lesson on where we give our power away to other people and what that is meant for us. And this should be a huge aha moment on where it is that we have to pull our power back, okay? Pull in the reins, stop giving other people power over our lives in order for us to be grounded in ourselves. Stop looking outside of ourselves for validation. Stop looking at other people for their thoughts, their opinions, their viewpoints, and really get grounded in your own power, in your own authority to boss up, to take control over your life and actually pull the trigger and make that decision that you're resisting to actually make. So this isn't going to feel so good. Then the moon goes void, of course. That's when things get shaky, when things get unstable, things get uncertain. We've already been in this kind of chaotic, unstable energy, and now it's going to be amplified. Lucky for us, it's not a huge, long window of time that the moon will be void. We will lock into that Scorpio energy at 7:07 p.m. At 7:52 p.m., we have our very first aspect with the moon in Scorpio. Now, let me just tell you, the moon in Scorpio is here to change us. here to transform our emotional and mental state so that we can get our shit together on the same page and we can start making moves in life. Now, considering the fact that the moon in Scorpio is a water energy, we're in Pisces season, which is a water energy. Many of us so heavy, so weighted, so emotional, so exhausted, can't wait for Aries season to begin so that we get that fire energy to kind of dry up some of this emotional and spiritual exasperation, if you will. The moon in Scorpio, the very first aspect that it's going to make is a trine, lucky for us because that's a great energy, with Saturn, who just moved into Pisces. So Mr. Saturn, he is still in this adjustment period. This is why many of us feeling very heavy, very weighted, why the funk is very thick. We're in this Pisces energy. Now everybody, has a different opinion on what Saturn in Pisces is going to mean for the collective, for us individually. But regardless, we are providing a little bit of a reality check on where it is that we need to be more disciplined, where we need to be stronger, we need to be better, we need to be more organized, where we need to kind of boss up, take control, and start building what needs to be built in our lives if we stand a chance in hell of actually having the power to manifest, create our realities, and bring to life some of the visions, the dreams, and the goals that we've been percolating on. So the moon trining with Saturn is a beautiful thing. We aren't afraid of the roles and the responsibilities. We're not afraid of the karma. We're not afraid of the heaviness. We're not afraid of the weight. We thrive under Scorpio's energy to take whatever challenge on because we're the alchemists at this point in time of the zodiac wheel. We can take the pain and turn it into power. We can take the darkness and turn it into light. We can mold and shape and transform and alchemize any situation that's given to us. And right now, emotionally speaking, especially coming out of the moon being in Libra and kind of cluster effing all of our thoughts and all of our emotions and the direction and the choices and the options that we've had, now we're getting down in the nitty gritty. Where do we need to find a new structure? Where do we need to build something new? Where do we need to create a new foundation in our lives? Where do we need to be more disciplined? This is the topics and the themes that are going to come up for us. And Mercury then goes ahead, bumps into Chiron in, I'm going to say, an awkward way, but not a negative, not a positive, although it has the potential to manifest depending on where it is that your mind space is at. Mercury, again, Pisces energy. Chiron, the wounded healer, in Aries energy. What we're getting here is a realization that we aren't who it is that we've been. We don't know quite who it is that we currently are, and we have a vague idea on who it is that we need to be in order to align with the reality that we're choosing to manifest. Now, mentally speaking, with Chiron and Mercury kind of being activated here, there could be a narrative, a negative narrative that pops up. Again, we have to examine the darkness in order to turn it to light. There could be memories, flashbacks of pain, of trauma, of doubts, of fears, of insecurities, trying to prevent us from getting on the right path, trying to prevent us from healing those broken parts of ourselves. Or this could be a huge flood of emotion, of thoughts that come over us and literally wash away the heaviness, the blockages, the challenges, the obstacles that we've been cluster effed in our mental plane. The last aspect that we have here today is the moon in Scorpio, making a positive interaction with Neptune, who is in Pisces energy in its place of power. So we get some water on water action here. Water on water action is transformative. Why? Because it cleanses us. Why? Because it breaks us down emotionally and spiritually. Why? Because that is the core of who it is that we are. So the moon and Neptune kind of coming together, this is a huge boss up. for our higher selves, for our intuition to speak loud and clear, for us to know in our gut what needs to be done, to know within ourselves the dreams and the visions that we are getting hyped up, motivated, determined, inspired to pursue. And we are very magical when there is water on water action. And because the moon in Scorpio is here to kind of transform the bad into something good, the dark into something light, the pain into something powerful, we are definitely receiving psychic insights, intuitive gut feelings on what we have to close the door on, what we need to reshape, what we need to reprogram in order to set ourselves free, put that emotional baggage down, repack those suitcases into something fewer and lighter for us to prepare to travel into this new year with.